Okay, did you ever see Warcraft?
Oh, no, I didn't see it, but I heard it was actually pretty decent for a film.
Like, I didn't see it either. You know what I'm saying? Like, that
Hmm.
was. It's just crazy to me that there's a World of Warcraft movie that got you know, a major theatrical release, but I don't know anything about it because I never played World of Warcraft.
Yeah. Apparently, it made its money in China. It made its money overseas. So,
And all of this kind of goes back to the original point we were making, man. Like, video game movies operate in that niche space of being in between cheese filmmaking and
mhm.
high quality production value.
Yeah, man. I guarantee it. If World of Warcraft had a Netflix TV series, everybody would be talking about it and watching it, just
Absolutely.
like The Witcher.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So,
No, like 100%. And like, in your opinion, what is it? Like, what is it that is holding these video game properties from being able to really break through in a way? Like, what's really the difference between a video game movie and something based on superheroes or something based on comic books? Like, what's the difference in your opinion?
I think the difference is that I mean, just like a comic book can be somewhat similar to just a novel or a book. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
there's adaptations of books and novels and movies themselves. So I think you could compress novels easier than you can even a 10 plus hour, 20 plus hour video game.
Ah.
I think the entertainment comes from reading and processing it, while the video games still have that interaction that you
Hmm.
need to have to enjoy the game. No one, I mean, some people watch cutscenes or whatever of games, but the games are meant to be played, and they're meant to be played over an extended period of time, and the movies just
Ah.
can't deliver that. I mean, we talked
Right.
about this before, man. Y'all can watch it. Behind the scene podcast, video game adaptations on streaming,
Hmm.
episode, whatever. Y'all look it up in the catalog, but I definitely think that's the difference. I think there's a difference in that novels and comic books are written forms and they can be more easily translated than an interactive experience where you're making conscious decisions, where
Right.
it's 40 hours, 50 hours of cuts, story and cutscenes and gameplay. It's a quite different experience. And for video games, I think like we mentioned before, the TV suit, the streaming service works better than to try to compress all that in a 2 hour and a half film where no one, can where you can barely tell a simple story. You know,
Right. Right.
I mean,
That's
Monster Hunter. I saw Monster Hunter. That shit is
holy shit.
definitely trapped in the early 2000s, late 90s. I mean, the CGI was good. The monsters look good, but everything else was so you know what I'm saying? And Monster Hunter is such a simplistic storyline anyway. I'm not big into Monster Hunter lore, but
Hmm.
even with a series like that, you could do a little 10 episode anime, you know what I'm saying, and put it on Amazon Prime or whatever, rather than a 2 hour movie with Mia Jovovich and Tony Jaa. Ron Perlman, I mean,
Whoa.
yes. Yeah, he's in it. And I didn't
Wait,
believe it
wait,
either.
wait, wait. Hold up,
Yes.
hold up, hold on, bro. So, hold on, man. My bad, brother.
No, you
So,
good. You good.
we have Monster Hunter, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson,
Yep, at his finest.
director of Mortal Kombat and Mortal
Mm,
Kombat Annihilation, right?
right.
We have Mila Jovovich, who is still a, relatively attractive woman. I don't know
Right.
how old she is, but I mean, we're a long way from the Resident Evil days. Like,
Shit.
you know what I'm
Even Fifth
saying?
Element. You want to go
Oh,
even back than that.
absolutely. And shout out to the Fifth Element.
Hmm.
We got Tony Jaa. You know what I mean? Like, I think I was in seventh grade when Ong Bak came out, right?
Right.
and
Right.
and the RZA was doing the original soundtrack to that movie, and 106 in Park was fucking playing 5 seconds of the music video he did for Ong Bak.
Hmm.
And we got Ron Perlman of Hellboy fame and Sons of Anarchy. That's the headlining cast for this movie, dog.
That's it.
Well,
That's your three.
that's everything I need to know right there. And I love Ron Perlman. Like Ron Perlman is Ron Perlman is like the last of that era of actors, of American actors who could ham it up, but also like really perform when they need to. Anybody that doubts Ron Perlman as an actor, watch the first 6 seasons of Sons of Anarchy, but digress, right?
Right, right.
So, like, when you tell me that lineup, that's really the recipe for a movie that's gonna fail in the box office.
Yeah, no doubt. And I know they were counting on the China market too. You could tell they were totally counting on the overseas market. Oh, and I forgot to mention Ti too, and Megan Good. They're both
Holy
in this thing too.
shit!
Ti,
Oh, they really got Tip and
yeah,
Megan Good.
Tip.
Why did this movie not come out in 2006?
I don't know. You could tell it was such a 2006 2007 movie,
Oh
and
man,
intentionally made like that too, man. I don't care. Oh, you have to like the game. Like, no, that's bullshit. You don't have to like the game to like the fucking movie. If you do, your movie's wrong. You did the whole movie wrong. Don't fucking make the movie if you have to like the game. What kind of counterproductive bullshit is that? I don't want to hear that
right?
shit. But
That's a fact because that's not. We're still talking about two different mediums that haven't necessarily crossed over into each other. So,
right.
like to kind of see, I like where this is going because we didn't even have the intention on even discussing this, but I think that the difference between some of these comic book properties and the reason why that's the most popular genre in film right now and in popular media right now is the people who are involved with actually putting it together. They have an understanding that all you need to do to introduce some of these characters and develop some of these characters is to not insult the viewer's intelligence, right? So, for
Right.
example, Captain America First Avenger came out in 2011. The only
Hmm.
thing that mattered, I think, in terms of introducing the character of Steve Rogers, Captain America, is you introduced him as the type of character that displayed traits that most people think they already have, right?
Right.
Even if, and I'm gonna take the military background out of it, right? Most
Hmm.
people think or would like to believe that they're the type of person that's the underdog, right?
Yeah.
At some level, every person thinks that they're Rocky Balboa. Every person thinks that they're the person who has all of the odds stacked against them. But despite having the odds stacked against them, they're still going to jump on top of a grenade, even if it's a dud, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When in reality, you know that most people are not that person that's going to do it. If you introduce a character on screen that's willing to do that, there's relatability because suspension of disbelief. Even though you know that Hydra is not a real organization and there's no such thing as a super soldier serum, on a human level, you're not going to be drawn to a underdog that's still willing to put everything on the line. So then when that same underdog is given the abilities of basically, you know what I'm saying? Let's see here. I'm gonna say Captain America was
Uh-huh.
Steve Rogers was given the abilities of, an Olympic level athlete with the heart of Rocky Balboa. Everybody's gonna be able to root for that person because
Hmm.
inherently we all think that we're Steve Rogers before he was injected with steroids.
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah. You
saying?
you calling that shit right, man?
With the Tony Stark, we all want to be a billionaire. We all
Mm.
want to be the smartest person in the room. On some level, we all think that we're smarter than everybody in the room, right? But
Mm.
it's one thing to think that, but it's another thing to see the smartest person in the room who's also a billionaire get brought down to size and have to rely on an artificial piece of technology to keep his heart going. Because in one way, he has to be humbled in order for you to like him, right?
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
if Iron Man was never humbled, we wouldn't like him. We like his personality because that's who we think we are. But we have to see him brought down to our level before we're willing to nod our head and be like, okay, Tony Stark, I fuck with Tony Stark, right?
Right. No, right. It's just like in wrestling. They say some guys go over too fast, and they're like, you didn't pay your
Yep,
dues. We didn't
right,
see you
right.
catching your L's. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, exactly. And I
Bill
think,
Goldberg.
oh man, listen, Ultimate Warrior. but
And moving on.
but like with that being said, I think with comic books and the reason why it's easier to translate and why that's the most popular genre right now and the most popular thing to adapt right now is that the people who are actually in charge of putting these things together have an understanding that most people don't read comic books. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Most people do not read comic books. They have a level of familiarity with the name of the characters in the comic book, but most motherfuckers that seen Thor and say that Thor is their favorite superhero haven't read a Thor comic book. You know what I'm
Hell
saying? But
no.
there's a level of understanding that you need to appeal to the most basic human level in order to get these characters to get over to a mass audience. With video games, I think the biggest issue that they have right now is how do you make a character endearing and relatable in a live action 2.5 hour movie when the developers and the people who made the video game have already done that over the course of 10 hours plus and DLC, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've never played The Last of Us. I bought The Last of Us on the Greatest Hits collection for PS3. I
Uh-huh.
turned it on and I never played. I turned that game on one time and turned it off. I know it's a great game. I
Yeah.
know that the story is excellent, but I've been watching The Walking Dead for the last 9 years, bro. Like when the Last of Us TV series premieres on HBO Max, I'm gonna watch it, but like, are you gonna tell me that Joel and Rick Grimes are really not the same character?
Mm.
Are
Oh
are are,
shit! You
are,
gonna upset some Last of Us fans, man? With that.
are you really gonna finesse? Like, look, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but come on, dog. Like, are you really gonna try to finesse me into telling me that Joel and Rick Grimes ain't the same fucking person? Come on, bro.
Oof.
Like,
Yeah.
what are
Yeah.
we talking about right now, man? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's the biggest issue that we have here. You can't put Kratos in a 2.5 hour movie and tell that story of this guy who was a Spartan and, a very angry person that took out his pain on, the Greek gods of, of that mythology. You can't tell me that story when I've already had that story told to me in a better way. So
Right.
that's going to be a huge issue going forward, man. And I don't know if we're in the era where the people who are making the decisions have that level of awareness to break these characters down to the most relatable level. Because if this Tomb Raider movie that we talked about a couple minutes before is any indication of that, the direction that I see a lot of these video game inspired films going into is trying to make some of these characters too relatable.
Yeah. I don't need to see Solid Snake as like Jason Bourne. You know what I'm
Nope,
saying? I
nope,
don't. I
not at
don't.
all.
No. Like that's bullshit. Like
Nope.
we don't want to see these adaptations. Okay, sure. In the '90s, we know they have a bad history of being over the top, too cheesy, or whatever, or just bad
Mm-hmm.
films. And now in this new era, you want to overcorrect that by making them barely relatable to the source material to the point where they're almost something else completely, but you plaster the name on it for brand recognition, thinking that the fans and everyone else is just going to gravitate towards it because it's Metal Gear Solid, and your final product hardly relates anything to Metal Gear Solid because you were too scared to make something of a bad film or
Right,
cheesy, or you were too scared of your peers judging the film for what it was.
right,
Like,
right.
yeah,
Oh man,
it's bullshit, and I hope it stop. I hope there's a balance. I don't hope that things go back to being cheesy and corny and over the top, but I
right.
do hope that they can make something solid. It's tricky, man. Video games is a tricky adaptations besides your Mario or Sonic or Crash Bandicoot or Angry Bird. You know, those mascot type guys who,
Hmm.
they have short, simple stories, and that you have the freedom to do whatever you want with them for the most part.
Right.
For something that's so story orientated like The Last of Us or God of War or Mass Effect, to cram that in a 2 3 hour movie, and
Don't
those
do it.
are 20, 30, 40 plus hour games of narration and
Hmm.
gameplay interaction. Like you said, don't do it. Don't
Don't
do
do
that
it.
shit, man. Don't do it.
And
Don't
I'm
do
gonna
it.
go out on a limb here, just real quick, right? I'm gonna make a bold prediction here because I cannot wait. I have waited. I have waited 4 years, 3, 4 years from the time when I knew this movie was coming out.
Uh-huh.
I sincerely hope that the Mortal Kombat movie that is supposed to be released this year in 2021 is I sincerely hope that that movie, and I have faith in it. I'm confident that the Mortal Kombat movie that's coming out this year is gonna have enough of Ed Boon's breadcrumbs in it to where I can enjoy it as a video game player and a fan of popular media. I have a lot of faith
Right.
in Mortal Kombat. I don't have high expectations for it, but I know for a fact that I will be entertained by it because there's going to be enough of the things that we're talking about right now. Like Mortal Kombat was never supposed to be Enter the Dragon. To me, Mortal Kombat was always supposed to be Enter the Dragon mixed with WWF. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Mortal Kombat to me was like what Enter the Dragon would have been if you had Vince McMahon booking it.
Pretty much.
Of course,
Oh
you
shit.
know what I'm saying?
You said
Of
that shit
course,
perfectly, man.
yeah, like right. And because of that, almost 20, 30 years later, Ed Boon is a monolith in the gaming industry. And because of that, you can have Robocop and the Terminator as DLC characters that are appreciated. But at the same time, the return of Melina can also be highly anticipated.
Right, right.
Like Mortal Kombat, I'm gonna again bold prediction, but I think Mortal Kombat from a lore standpoint and possibly a not critical standpoint, because I still think that Rotten Tomatoes rating is probably going to be around somewhere between 50 to 65%. But
Yeah.
to the hardcore Mortal Kombat fans like myself and you who have been around since Malibu Comics Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat, the animated series,
Oh man. Yeah, rest in
Mortal
peace. We were
Kombat Conquest,
oh
TV
man.
show with Kung Lao.
Talk about it, bro. And that was
We
listen.
there day one, baby.
And that shit was hard, bro. Like me and my brother used to be up. Like TNT knew what they was doing, putting them fucking Mortal Kombat Conquest episodes after Monday Nitro. They knew what they
Yup.
was doing,
They
bro.
do, dude.
But
Marketing.
I have I'm confident that that movie is gonna capture the essence of Mortal Kombat more than what some of these other um movies inspired by TV shows have done. But with that being said, bro, I didn't want to get too sidetracked, but I think this is a solid part two from what it was we were saying before. Anything you want to add to that?
No, man. I think we said everything we needed to say. I'm excited for the new Mortal Kombat movie and for these video game adaptations. I think put them on streaming for the. Basically, the movie industry in itself is heading towards that way anyway. I think put them on streaming. I think you have more shelf life with that. I think you can get. I'm not sure about the returns, but I think you can. For any of these streaming services and these platforms looking for the next big hit, looking for more subscribers, looking for more eyes on their service, this might be the gold mine to go to outside the comic book. You know what I'm saying? Outside the comic book realm, this could be the next gold mine to mine for your next shows. You know what I'm saying? So if that's the way the future is, I'm all for that. I'm all for the video game shows being streamed instead of just video game movies being half-ass released and everyone complaining about it not being actually quality in either or quality cheesy or quality good in any form. So
Right. My last word on this is that we're in an era where we get so much content that I think the best route to go in terms of adapting something that's based on a video game, you have to capture the essence of what made people interested in playing the games. The reason why I loved watching that 8 episode run of The Witcher is that I never played that game before, but having watched that show for that 8 episode run on Netflix, I feel like if I were to watch the show and then play that game on PlayStation 3 or Xbox or PC, there wouldn't be much of a difference in between what was being presented to me as a viewer.
mm.
That's where they get it fucked up at, and that's the part of it that needs to be corrected.
For all you listeners out there, let us know what y'all think about video game adaptations and like, share, subscribe. With that, we're out.